Hello, everybody. In the very ancient history, there was a magical land named Kemitt, and Kemitt means the black soil. It refers to the fertility of this land. By time, this land called Egypt. I'm Hend Alashaal, and this is my show, Kemitt Tales. It's about the greatness of this land, the power of this culture, the magic of this history. This show is about people, places, art, music, cinema, history, books, thoughts. It's about all things and everything. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Discuss your thoughts. Choose with me the kind of subjects that you would like to be shown for you. In the first episode, I would like it to be a brief about the charm of the beginnings of Egyptian silver screen, the cinema. This mysterious world that enchanted every single person of this land. The beginning was in the majestic land that was established by Alexander the Great in the ancient times. Alexander played a pioneering role in the establishment of the Egyptian cinema industry. Its early cinematographers were amateurs who experimented with this new form of art and were often scriptwriters, directors, actors, and producers all in one. The first studios and films were Alexandrian, and Alexandrian, by definition, meant a mixture of foreigners resident in the city and Egyptians. As the art and the industry flourished, cinema makers gradually moved to Cairo, the capital, where there was a larger audience and where the newly created studio master provided sophisticated equipment. Historians disagree in determining the beginning of cinema in Egypt. Some say it was 1896 when the first film was projected in Egypt, while others date the beginning to June 1907 with a short documentary film about the visit of the Khedive Abbas Hilmi II to the Institute of Morsi Abu Abbas in Alexandria. 1940s to the 1960s are generally perceived as the golden age of Egyptian cinema. The Hollywood of the Orient and the Hollywood on the Nile were the names given to the film industry in Egypt at the time. With this growing after World War II, partially because of difficulties in acquiring American and European films, Egypt's cinema industry was the world's third largest in the 1950s. For Sami Farid, a well-known film critic, the period between 1933 and 1963 was the golden era. The state began to play a much larger role in the economy and society, and it used all the tools of that time to express ideas flourishing within the nation, including films. The growing industry of films benefited from markets in the wider Arab region as they were distributed in the major countries. With the distribution of the films came political support for Egypt and its leadership at the time. Once the talking feature film had been established in 1936, films started to be made in the genres of farce, melodrama, and musicals. These were collaborations by established musicians, singers, and actors. In 1940, the entrepreneur Anis Said established Anis Said Films as the first subtitling company in Egypt and the Middle East, bringing hundreds of American and world movies to Egypt. Later on, he entered the movie distribution business as well. Until the late 1950s, it was difficult to differentiate between Egyptian, American, Italian, and French films on a technical level. Our history of Arab cinema at the Oscars starts when the first Arab film to be submitted to the Academy Awards, Yusuf Shahin's Cairo Station. The film was submitted for consideration by Egypt in 1959. While it didn't receive the nomination, it does make the beginning of the history of Arab cinema at the Oscars. Egypt was the first Arab nation to submit to the Academy Awards and is the Arab nation with the largest film industry. Not many people know that the Egyptian cinema was pioneered by women in production and acting before the establishment of Studio Misr. The 1920s, 1930s, and the 1940s were the golden age of the cinematic industry led by women, as the role of female directors in Egyptian cinema has outmatched their counterparts in many world cinemas. When cinema was introduced in Egypt, short silent films were produced based on plays, such as those by Shakespeare, but most of these were lost. In the 1930s, the first major Egyptian novel, Zainab, by Muhammad Hussein Haykal, was adapted into a film on the same title. Later, in the 1950s, there was a strong bond between the cinema and novels, with works by writers such as Taha Hussein, Ihsan Abdul Quddus, and Nobel Prize awarded Naguib Mahfouz, and so many of important writers then. And that's how the charm began. I'm Hend Alashaal, and this is Kemitt Tales. Like, share, spread, discuss, comment, sending you love, peace, and enlightenment.